Okay, so what I thought I'd do now is just do a couple of examples. So I'll just do two of them. So here, let's do an example. So for example, let's say if I say use the trapezoid rule, the trapezoidal rule, with n is equal to 4 to approximate this definite integral, the integral from 0 to 2 of the square root of x squared plus 1 dx. Okay, so the first thing we're going to notice is that we start off at a is equal to 0, and then we're going to end up with b is equal to 2. So what that means is that our delta x, which is just going to be b minus a divided by the number of rectangles or trapezoids we're going to use this time, and the number of rectangles, or I keep saying rectangles, but the number of trapezoids we're going to use is 4. So this is going to be 2 minus 0 divided by 4 is equal to 1/2. Now to get a good idea for how this works, let's take a look at the actual graph of this. Okay. So we're going to have the graph x and y. And again, if you put in 0 there, you're going to get 1. And this is going to be an increasing function and just slightly curved up, so it's going to go something like that. So this is my y is equal to f of x is equal to the square root of x squared plus 1. Okay. Now let's partition it. So we're going to have 0 here. Now remember, our delta x is 1/2. So the first thing I'm going to do is go over 1/2 units. And then, because again that's my delta x, and then I'm going to move over delta x one more time. That's going to be 1. And then I'm going to move over another half. And I'm going to do this as 3/2. I'm going to move over another half, and I'm going to get 2. Now remember, we should have 4 trapezoids if we did this correctly. So let's draw out the trapezoids. The first one should go up like this. Second one, and then we connect the line. The next one's going to go up, connect the line. The next one's going to go up, and you're going to connect the line. And the last one's going to go up, and you connect the line. Okay, so we should have 4 trapezoids. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the formula for this, for trapezoid, it should be delta x divided by 2. Okay, now remember the first one is going to be by itself, so that's going to be f of 0, plus we're going to have 2 times f of 1/2, plus 2 times f of 1, plus 2 times f of 3/2, and then the last one is by himself, f of 2. So what you see is that the first one is going to be f of 0 by himself, and then everything else has got a 2 here. You know, 2 in front, 2 of f of 1/2, 2 of 1, 2 of 3/2, and then the last one is going to be f of 2. Okay, so this is going to be equal to delta x divided by 2, so I'm going to have 1/2 divided by 2, which is 1/4. Okay, and so let's work this out. So this is going to be equal to, the f of 0 is going to be the square root of 0 plus 1, plus 2 times the square root of, and f of 1/2 is going to be 1/4, plus 1, plus 2 times the square root of, and if I put in 1 plus 1, that's going to give me 2, plus 2 times the square root of 3/2 squared, that's going to be 9/4, plus 1, plus the square root of 5. Now the thing about these approximation is you cannot approximate until the last step. I mean, you're approximating now, but you don't want to put any decimals until the very, very, very last step. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do is clean this up a little bit. So the square root of 1 is 1. This is going to be 2 times the square root of 5/4. Okay. Plus 2 times the square root of 2. Plus this is going to be 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So that's just 2 times the square root of 13 over 4. Plus the square root of 5. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and actually see if we can do this, type this out. Now, I don't have a normal calculator in my office, so I apologize. I have this beast here. Okay, so I'm going to type in 1/4 times 1 plus 2 times the square root of 5/4 plus 2 times the square root of 2 plus 2 times the square root of 13 over 4 plus the square root of 5. I'm going to close my parentheses. Okay, so that's what pops out. Okay, so I'm going to have 2.976528589 ... So this actually keeps going. So in the directions, I'm going to have to tell you how to approximate. So let's approximate this to, say, 3 decimal places. 3, whoops, decimal places. So that means I'm going to have to go 1, 2, 3. This is the tenths, the hundredths, the thousandths. So if I said approximate to the thousandths place or the 3 decimal places, it's the same. So that's going to be approximately 2.977 as my final answer. So what this says, so the integral from 0 to 2 of x squared plus 1 dx is approximately 2.977. Cool.